This lesson is about conversions, and we'll look at several types of conversions, linear, weight, capacity. We'll be converting within the US system, within the metric system, as well as conversions between the two systems. The first ones we'll look at will be linear conversions. And when we look at these, I usually refer to them as conversion factors. I believe if you're looking at the show me examples in the My Math Lab, My Stat Lab, that they refer to it as the unit conversion. And the reason it's referred to that is because, and I'm just going to use the inches and feet as an example, 12 inches is 1 foot. So when we do the unit conversion or the conversion factor, we would do 12 inches over 1 foot, but 12 inches and 1 foot is the same thing. So anything divided by itself is 1. So 12 inches over 1 foot or divided by 1 foot is the same thing as 1. And you can actually set that up either way, and I will explain which way we set it up depending on the problem. So both of these are equal to 1. Now, the way you're going to set it up, whether you know to do, am I going to do inches over feet or am I going to do feet over inches, that's based on the problem. And throughout this lesson, when we're doing these conversions, you're going to set it up based on what are you converting to. So whatever you're converting to is going to be the number on top, and whatever you're converting from or the original units will be on bottom. So we'll write it like this: units to convert to over the original units. And that's how you're going to know which way to set it up. So on this first example, we want to convert 2 feet. So since I'm going 2 feet, feet goes in the numerator or on top, and the original units were inches, so that will go in the bottom. So my conversion that I will use is that 1 foot is 12 inches, so I will use the 1 over 12 instead of the 12 over 1. And what we do with that is real simple. We multiply it by our original problem that they gave us, which in this case was 84 inches. So I'm going to take 84 inches, and we just put that over 1 to make it a fraction. It makes it a little easier to understand for some people to have this as a fraction. So we have 84 inches multiplied by our conversion factor of 1 foot over 12 inches. And when we do this, the inches divided by inches divides out, and we're going to be left with our units that we wanted, which was feet. So I end up with 84 divided by 12, which is 7, and then my units I needed, which was feet. So I end up with 7 feet. On the next example we have is convert 324 inches to yards. So I'm going to abbreviate this a little bit and just put convert to, and I'm converting from the original. So we're converting 2 yards from inches. So when I look up here, I look at my conversion for yards and inches, and it says that 1 yard is 37 inches, and that's the conversion I'll use. I have 324 inches. We'll put that over 1, and I'm going to multiply it by the 1 yard, which is the same as 36 inches. The inches over inches can divide out. So I have 324 divided by 36, and 324 divided by 36 is 9, and I'm left with the unit of yards, so 9 yards. And the last one of these is 130 inches to feet and inches. To get our conversion, we're going to worry just about the feet, and then in a minute I'll explain what they mean by feet and inches. So I'm converting 2 feet, and I'm converting from the original, which was inches. And again, we know that 1 foot is the same as 12 inches. So I'm going to multiply 130 inches by 1 foot over 12 inches. The inches will divide out, and I end up with 130 divided by 12. Now, the reason this one didn't just say to feet, but said to feet and inches is because when you divide this, it doesn't come out evenly. It's going to be have a decimal, but they didn't ask us to give a decimal. They asked us to give feet and inches. What that means is you're going to need to actually divide this using long division. 12 will go into 13 one time, and that leaves 1, and we bring down the 0. 12 will not go into 10, so that would be 10. And what we end up here is our whole units, and then what we don't have down here is our remainder. So the whole units we have would be the feet, and then these would be a part of a foot or the inches. So this would be the same as 10 feet, and then our remainder here would be 10 inches. So 10 feet, 10 inches. And you'll know to do that just based on when you're doing your problems in your homework, it will specify whether they want you to give a decimal answer or if they want to do feet and inches. The next type of conversions we'll look at will be still linear measurements, but within the metric system. And the metric system is actually very easy to use because it's based on powers of 10. And that means all we're going to be doing is either multiplying or dividing by 10, 100, 1,000. And when you do that, all you're actually having to do is move the decimal. So if you will remember the order that the units go in, then all you have to do is move the decimal left or right that many spaces. So the first thing we'll do is we'll just make a list across here that goes from the largest type of measurement unit to the smallest unit of measurement that we're given here in this table. So we're going all the way from kilometers down to millimeters. So we'll use our abbreviations km, HM, and you'll notice this one's DAM. That's because you have deca and deci, and because of that, with them both being Ds, they had to distinguish between the two. So the deca got the DAM, and the deci will just be DM. And then we have meters in the middle, and then decimeters, centimeters, and millimeters. And the reason this is so easy is if you're going from left to right, so a unit on the left moving towards the right, you'll just move your decimal to the right. If you're going from a unit on the right back to a unit on the left, you'll just move your decimal to the left. So our first example is 65 meters, and I want to go to centimeters. So if I look at my list, I'm going from meters to centimeters. That's 2 places to the right. So I have my 65, decimals understood to be at the end. If I go 2 places to the right, that would be 2 places. I have to add zeros. So that would be 6,500 centimeters. The next one is 2,500 meters to kilometers. Well, this time we're starting at meters and we're going to the left to kilometers, 1, 2, 3 places. So I need to move my decimal 3 places to the left. Right now, it's at the end of the 2,500. So if I go 3 places to the left, that puts it between the 2 and the 5. So that would make it 2.5 kilometers. The next conversions we'll look at are weight and mass conversions. Within the U.S. system, we do U.S. units of weight, ounces, pounds, and tons. And then within the metric system of mass, we measure with grams. We'll do these the same as we did the linear conversions in the U.S. system. So we'll find a conversion factor that we will use. And remember, we're going convert to over what we're converting from or from the original. So we're converting 2 ounces from pounds. So when we do this, we'll look at our conversion, and it says that 16 ounces is 1 pound, so 16 ounces is 1 pound. I'm converting 8 pounds multiplied by 16 ounces is 1 pound. So the pounds would divide out, and that would just give me 8 times 16, and 8 times 16 would be 128 ounces, and that would be our answer. On the next one, we're going from pounds, and notice it says the nearest tenth of a ton, so that tells me I'm going to have a decimal in my answer in exactly 1 decimal because it's nearest tenth. So again, I'm going to do my conversion. I'm going 2 tons to the nearest tenth of a ton, so I'm converting 2 tons from the original pounds. And we know that 1 ton is 2,000 pounds. So I take my 5,240 pounds, multiply by that by 1 ton over 2,000 pounds. The pounds divide out, and when you divide 5,240 by 2,000, you end up with 2.62, but it said to round to the nearest tenth, so 1 decimal place. We look at the 6 to the right of that. The number is less than 5, so that tells us we don't round up. So this is approximately 2.6 tons. Back to the metric system, we do it exactly the same way as we did the lengths. So this is just based on moving the decimals left and right. So I'll make my list again here. I should have been using G's here. So kilograms, hectograms, decograms, grams, decigrams, centigrams, milligrams. And we'll just do it by moving our decimal left or right, depending on the problem. So I want to convert 42.59 grams to milligrams. So I'm going from grams to milligrams. That's 1, 2, 3 places to the right. So when I move my decimal 3 places, that would be 1, 2, have to add the 0 for the third place. So 42,590 milligrams. And then we're going 59 hectograms to centigrams. So that would be 1, 2, 3, 4 places to the right. The decimal's at the end, so 4 places to the right, I would have to add 4 zeros. So 590,000 centigrams. And then this table is just asking us to take one measurement and convert it to 3 others. So we'll use our same system. We have 36 kilograms, and I'm going to rewrite this so that it's easier to see. We want to go from kilograms, and I'm going to do the grams ones first. So from kilograms to grams is 1, 2, 3 places to the right. So I need to add 3 zeros. And then you can go back to kilograms to get to the centigrams and milligrams, but I'm actually just going to go from grams to centigrams, and that's just adding an additional 2 zeros. So I had 36,000, and I'm going to add 2 more zeros to go from, so I wrote it in the wrong one. I'm going to add 2 more zeros to go to the centigrams. So 2 zeros, and that gives me 3,600,000 centigrams. And then from the centigrams to the milligrams would just be adding 1 more zero. So I already had 5 zeros, and I'm going to add 1 more, and that will give me my milligrams. Right, and the last example here, under the weight and mass conversions, is that you have 1 banana, which weighs 116 grams, but you want the weight in kilograms of 12 bananas. So the first thing we have to do is figure out how much 12 bananas weigh. And if 1 banana is 116 grams, then I multiply that by 12 to get how much 12 bananas weighs. And that would be 1,392 grams. Then we want to convert it to kilograms. So I have 1,392 grams. I look at my list. If I'm going from grams to kilograms, I'm going back or left 1, 2, 3 places. So if my decimal's at the end and I go back 3 places, that would give me 1.392 kilograms. The next conversions will be conversions of capacity. And in the US system, capacity is when we're looking at fluid ounces, cups, pints, quarts, and gallons. So we'll go back to the same system we've been using anytime we're using US units, and that's to combine the conversion factor that we'll multiply by. So we want to go from ounces to cups. So we're converting 2 from the original. We're converting 2 cups from fluid ounces. So we look at our table, and it says that 1 cup is 8 fluid ounces, and that's what we'll use to multiply. I have 72 fluid ounces, and I'm going to multiply that by 1 cup over 8 fluid ounces. The fluid ounces divide out, leaving me with my cups, and 72 divided by 8 would be 9 cups. Then we have 39 quarts to gallons. So I'm converting 2 gallons from quarts. So we look up here, and 1 gallon is 4 quarts, so 1 gallon, 4 quarts. That will be what I multiply by. So 39 quarts multiplied by 1 gallon, which is 4 quarts. The quarts divide out, and I get 39 divided by 4. When you do this, the 39 divided by 4, you're going to end up with 9.75 gallons. And depending on how they ask this, if they ask for a decimal, then that's going to be fine. They may ask for a mixed number. And if they ask for a mixed number, that's going to be like the feet and inches we did earlier, where we actually have to divide 39 divided by 4. 4 goes into 39 9 times, which is 36, with our 3 left over. So this would be 9 3/4 gallons. So depending on which answer or how they ask you to input your answer, it may be 9.75. You may need to input 9 3/4. We're not going to do any examples with the metric unit of capacity because it's exactly the same as all the other metric. Anytime you're dealing with the metric, it's just moving the decimals, but the units will be liters when you're doing capacity. The next conversions we'll do is going to be between the US system and the metric system. And we have a chart here, and you'll notice all of these are, or most of these are approximately, show approximately equal to. That's because it's not an exact measurement when you do the conversion. So for example, 1 kilometer is approximately 0.62 miles, or 1 mile is approximately 1.61 kilometers. So these answers, when you do them, will typically ask you to give your answer as a decimal. And I believe the examples I looked at ask you to do 2 decimal places. So it'll tell you that on each problem, but I believe 2 decimal places is what they're typically asking for. Okay, the first conversion, again, we're going to convert 2 over the original. So on this one, we're converting 2 kilograms. And if I'm going 2 kilograms, that means I need kilograms over, and I'm converting from pounds. So I look and I see that 1 kilogram is approximately, so I looked in the wrong column, 1 kilogram is approximately 2.20 pounds. So 1 over 2.20. And that's what I'm going to multiply by. I'm multiplying 61 pounds by 1 kilogram over 2.20 pounds. So the pounds would divide out, and I end up with 61 divided by 2.20. And that comes to 27 and you end up with, I believe it's 7272, and it just keeps repeating. And since we're doing 2 decimal places, I'm looking at that second decimal place. The number to the right of it is greater, or is 5 or greater, so that means I'm going to round up. So this would be 27.73 kilograms. Okay, the last one of these, we're going to be converting from grams to ounces. So I'm converting 2 ounces from grams. So I look at my conversion, and I see that 1 ounce is 28.35 grams. So 1 ounce, 28.35 grams. And when I do the conversion, I'm going to multiply 1,251 grams multiplied by 1 ounce over 28.35 grams. And we're going to do that division. And again, on these, all of these, you will just do the divisions, or if it happens to be a multiplication, you will do all of these on your calculator. So when you do the grams divide out, we end up with 1251 over 28.35, and that's approximately 44.12698. But if we're going to go 2 decimal places, going to the 2, 6 is 5 or greater, so that's going to go up to a 3. So approximately 44.13, and this is going to end up in ounces. Our last 2 examples have to do with conversions between Celsius and Fahrenheit. These will be different because we don't have a conversion factor, we actually just have a formula. So if we're converting to Fahrenheit, we're going to use the Fahrenheit equals formula. If we're converting to Celsius, we'll use the Celsius equals formula. The first one we want to convert to Fahrenheit. So we write our formula down. 9/5 times C plus 32. And all you're going to do is you're going to substitute in the degrees Celsius that you were given. So 9/5 times 34.5 plus 32. And when you do that multiplication, again, just use your calculator. This comes to 60.2.1 plus 32, which would be 94.1, and that would be degrees Fahrenheit. And the last one is we're converting to Celsius. So we write down our Celsius formula, 5/9 times F minus 32. We're going to substitute in the 107 for the F. And our order of operations tells me that I do the 107 minus 32 first. So that would be 5/9 times 75, which would equal 41 point, and this gives me 666 repeating. I believe on the examples on these, it was the nearest tenth, which would be 1 decimal place. So that would be 41.7 degrees Celsius.